Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today we're bringing on a very special guest. We have Karen, who is the main spokesperson for WingRiders, a project that has launched on top of Cardano, and I think has made quite an entry into the DApp ecosystem. Thanks a lot for coming on, Karen, and I'm sure we're going to have a great chat.
Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, let's just maybe start off with a bit about yourself. And then let's move on and get into the nitty gritty of WingRiders.
Sure, I won't go too far back, but I'll give you my crypto history. Essentially, I got interested in about 2012, started kind of a education process of really not understanding what it was, this Bitcoin thing everyone was talking about, to actually actively kind of becoming, making the first investments into Ethereum. And they weren't called ICOs then, they were just crowd sales. So that's kind of got me really kind of hooked into it. And then the fluctuations, I'll be honest, were what really attracted me. So my experience, majority of crypto experience has been in the trading and portfolio management, and kind of ran a hedge fund for a couple of years as well, a crypto one. So that's really kind of what got me hooked into the cryptoverse.
Yeah, I think everybody sort of initially starts off as a speculative investor, and then they sort of fall in love and really understand what's going on here and how there's so much more to it. We know people are here to speculate. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot more. There's a lot of building taking place that people don't look at. And you are, of course, the chief spokesperson for WingRiders.
That's right,
A
yes.
very, very impressive project to date. They've done, they stealth launched into this ecosystem, which I found very amusing. Probably isn't the right word, but very daring. And
Yeah.
where did this sort of idea for WingRiders start?
Um, well, the ideation phase, as a lot of people call it, not my favorite word, but kind of started in the last quarter of 2021. And as you mentioned it, so we came out of stealth mode in December and came out. And this really goes back to kind of the general philosophy we have. We obviously, before I go on, we're a decentralized exchange, or a DEX, built on Cardano, where you can swap, you can essentially add liquidity and do lots of other things like farming, etc. Okay, so the idea when it was launched in December was that we generally like to build something and then talk about it. Okay, now that's obviously with the idea of the actual DEX. So we started launching testnet. So we had a testnet V1, which was kind of our integration testnet. And that's really to do with our core mission, realistically, to be a critical or essential sort of infrastructure piece for the whole Cardano ecosystem. And what does that actually mean? That means that our first testnet was an integration into a wallet called NewFi. It's a staking wallet. So you could actually go into the NewFi wallet and access our DEX through their interface. So that was V1. And then the next testnet, which was launched in March, was the obviously, if you like, mainnet proper, so how it would be, etc. And yeah, so that's how we kind of went from ideation to development to launch, realistically. And now we're obviously on the mainnet. So it's been an interesting ride. We've only been there for a few weeks, but it's it's really good to see the kind of adoption we've had and the interest from the community and the buzz. Nothing comes without challenges. We know it's at the end of the day software. The whole cryptoverse, people don't think about it like that, but if you think about it, it's actually the whole kind of 18,000 coins on if you like, coin market cap. That's actually, they're all projects and they're all built from software. Well, most are anyway. Some is just white papers, they'll never go anywhere. But yeah, so our general philosophy comes from not quite the opposite of what's kind of customary, if you like, in the cryptoverse. Is people hype a project, launch a paper, then they try to sell the tokens to raise some money, and it goes somewhere or it doesn't go somewhere. We completely do it the other way. Until we haven't launched something, we generally don't talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it actually is very well in keeping with Cardano's thesis as a whole, this sort of peer review method and doing things and putting this sort of research in before launching. And you guys made a bit of a splash before you had even actually launched. And that was, of course, with the MinSwap potential exploit that was found by your team. And very kindly, I guess is the right word, or very honorably put to the MinSwap team. And then, of course, they fixed it. That's when I think a lot of people sort of went, hang on, who are WingRiders? And you guys, of course, have since launched. We will talk about the DEX because it's a very... You not only launched a DEX, you brought stablecoins to the Cardano ecosystem and a few more things. And I was also very impressed with the amount of wallets that WingRiders actually had that was able to go in and use the DApp, which I think really separated you from the herd, if you will, because there's going to be lots of DEXs, and you're absolutely right. There's lots of projects out there that are a white paper and a white paper only. So what WingRiders? You've mentioned that they're a DEX. Could you maybe expand on that a little bit more for people that are new to this?
Maybe I'll kind of go from a very high level, just in case we got viewers that kind of not familiar with what a decentralized exchange is. Essentially, a decentralized exchange is very different from a centralized exchange, where you've got an order book and the whole your wallets are essentially in the custody of the actual centralized exchange like Binance, Coinbase, or whatever. So decentralized exchanges moved away from that model, and you're essentially trading into a pool, if you like. So that pool provides the liquidity for the trading to go on the decentralized exchange. So maybe it's a good idea if I kind of talk about the different things. You mentioned the wallets, for instance. Okay, so integration of wallets is one of our probably specialisms, if you like, and hence the V1 version of our test there, and it's still live now, so you can go and test it out, see how it's integrated into NewFi and how it works. So yes, we've got some wallets now, and we're planning to bring on more wallets live as we go along. So just watch this space. There'll be more of them. Currently, we've got Nami, we got Eternal, which is just rebranded from obviously CC Vault. We've got Flint, we've got Giro, and another integration, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about, is really the hardware wallet. Hardware wallet integration was actually brought about by Vacuum Labs, you may remember, to Cardano. So they integrated both the Trezor and the Ledger wallets for Cardano, and we're powered essentially by Vacuum Labs. That's how we refer to kind of how that works. And essentially Vacuum Labs, I'll give you a little bit of brief. Who are they? Because people will ask you, who are they now? So they're essentially a global fintech development house that has been kind of in this space since its inception. So they have a lot of kind of Cardano experience. They work for different organizations, from startups to crypto kind of projects to large organizations and fiat banks. Now, fiat banks are hated probably by a lot of the people in crypto, but actually there's a very good point to take away from this, that they generally abide by the highest kind of security measures, if you like. So when you're developing for a bank, you are, you are really developing at a very high level the most securest, if you like, applications, etc. So then coming back to essentially the DEX, we've got multiple items. I know you've got this probably later on in the interview, so I'll just say kind of what makes us different. Why would anyone come to WingRiders DEX? Well, we do things, I think, in several ways differently. One of the first things is, as you know, in Cardano, if you go to a swap or a DEX or whatever functionality, generally you can't swap a Cardano native asset for another one directly. You have to go into ADA. From ADA, you go into that. So at each of these steps, you're incurring fees. Okay, so on our DEX, you can exchange, Meld for Liquid, or Husky for another one, Bison. So that's one unique feature that we have. The other unique feature is that you can gain in multiple ways on our DEX. So obviously in DEXs, by providing liquidity, that's a general model, you can get fees. Obviously, there are fees that go into sort of every exchange, and the liquidity providers get a portion of that. But with ours, you also, in the pools that you provide liquidity with ADA, so they're binary pools, so ADA, let's say a Meld, for instance, your ADA also gets auto-staked, and you start earning or gaining rewards from that. Okay, and now that's returned into the pool, and because when you provide liquidity into a liquidity pool, you get these things called LPTs, liquidity provider tokens. The value of those, obviously, when you withdraw, goes up because you've got all of these kind of other rewards. Now, another good thing is when you take these LPTs, you can take them to any of the farms, so a corresponding farm, and you earn more rewards, or gain more rewards, I should say. And those rewards at the moment on our DEX are in the form of our governance token, WRT. But, we're in talks with lots of other partners to add other types of rewards. And as they become live, obviously, you can see that in the farm's reward section on the UI of the app. Now, hardware wallets, that is, I think, one of our very, very unique features currently, because the ledger is directly integrated into the DEX. Now, I've heard and I've been reading, a lot of DEX is kind of saying that they have this integration, but it's actually, I think, people have to be aware that a direct integration into a DEX is very different to an integration through a software wallet and onto the DEX, okay? So you're adding another point of failure, and the risk and security is obviously the issue there. But we have a direct integration. The other great thing is that you can actually now access the hardware, with your ledger and actually trade on your Android phone by just having one of these what they call C-type cables, and bang bang, you're trading. You're off somewhere. You got your stack on your ledger. You just stick it in, and voila, you start trading. And that's very, very unique. I believe we are the only one that's actually providing that. Then there's the agents model. Okay, so what are the agents? The agents essentially in Cardano, because they utilize the EUTXO model of architecture, if you like, and block sizes are fairly small. Okay, so you can only fit so much data, for instance, into it. So when you, for instance, put a swap request in, I put a swap request in, multiple swap requests come in, these have to be batched essentially and put into one transaction and put out. These are called agents that do that. Currently, this is centralized, but again, on the books is decentralization of this. So anyone in the community can actually become a, if you like, an agent and earn fees. And that means anyone. Okay, so that's another thing. Where are we at? Okay, so we've got also two other things I think I should mention here. One is, as you mentioned earlier yourself, it's the fact that you have actual kind of, a USDT and well, we call it MAD USDT, and it's not a crazy name by the way. It's because of Nomad Bridge, by the way. So yeah, it's MAD because of that. So MAD, we got MAD USDT and MAD USDC. For those of you who have been around, those are stable coins. They're like literally pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar. And as we're discussing off the show, with the current market situation, for instance, you've got all of these gains you've made, for instance, you've got handsome gains. What do you do? Well, you can't do basically another token to token swap when the whole market's plummeting. What you do is generally you try to lock in your gains and you go into a stable coin. And again, that's something that we've brought into Cardano space. And we think this is something that the community should really try and understand, that this is kind of how you use it. And finally, obviously, we got wrapped Bitcoin and Ether. So again, this kind of I suppose makes it much more convenient if you want some exposure to other non-native Cardano assets. And obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they kind of generally hold their prices better. This is not financial advice, but they generally do. And Bitcoin itself is probably the most sort of, prominent, if you like, mover of the market. So if you want exposure, you don't actually have to kind of go off of Cardano. You can buy now Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is obviously the wrap version. And yeah, those are some of the things that we did differently.
Wow, absolutely. Wow. I mean, it's what caught my attention with you guys. First of all, I heard about the mint swap thing, and then on the launch, I noticed you guys had MAD USDT. And MAD USC, I believe.
USDC, yeah.
USDC.
Yeah.
That you'd basically utilize Milkomeda's bridge. Of course, they bridge on the Ethereum side with Nomad, which I actually didn't know that's why USDC and USD, the
USDC and USDT, yeah.
That's it. Were called
Yeah.
and named after that bridge. So that's
Mad,
interesting.
Yeah. I saw it first as well. I thought, why are we calling it Mad? And then it's the same. Okay, so it's because of the Nomad bridge we were using, obviously, to bring the ERC20 token. Well, ERC20 tokens come via the Nomad bridge into Milkamida, and then obviously there's a gateway that then the ERC20s are locked and then released on the Cardano side as obviously native or wrapped, if you like, tokens in there.
And now, I mean, and that's the thing about this DEX. You brought a lot more utility to Cardano. You spoke about a number of things, like if you wanted to maybe hedge the markets, getting into stable coins, getting into Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are typically a lot less higher beta than many of your altcoins. You guys have brought all of that to Cardano already, which leads me to be extremely excited about what's coming in the future. And you mentioned your token. Your token has not yet launched, and the only way I believe you can get it is via providing liquidity, which you guys, I mean, you mentioned the fact that your Cardano, when you provide it to a liquidity pool, is almost double yielding. It yields the stake rewards and, of course, the liquidity providing tokens that generate a yield, which, of course, is paid out in the WU.
And the fees from the liquidity pool provision, right? From the farming, you get the WRT tokens, right? So, yes, I mean, on that note, essentially, okay, I think I should first mention the overriding philosophy that we have, and we've kind of had from day one, that we will become a full-fledged DAO, essentially. For the uninitiated, it's a decentralized autonomous organization, which is a, if you like, a decentralized method of managing, if you like, a project, where the governance token holders that we're talking about at the moment, those will be the people who will be actually voting for improvements, changes, whatever it may be. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. So you need obviously a governance token that can obviously do that role. And as you rightly said, you can earn that currently by farming it only. And yeah, there are obviously other plans moving forward, whereby there'll be a TGE, obviously there'll be a token generation event, and we've already flagged that for by the end of Q2, which we're in currently in Q2. So hopefully that will come. But again, it goes back to the philosophy we have of why we haven't released the token yet. And so you can earn these rewards, by the way, on our farms right now. It's a promissory note, and when the TG goes live and the tokens are out there, there might be a small kind of very short vesting schedule for the token holders, so we don't get a kind of a pump and dump situation. I'm not saying anyone wants to do that, but unfortunately the reality is they do. And yeah, so when it's released, then obviously the tokens will be in circulation. And as I was saying, it comes back to the philosophy of, look, if I'm going to buy something, a governance token of a project, shouldn't I actually see it, how it works, you know, what the functionality is it actually a real product? And this is totally the reverse. And it's like counterintuitive that in crypto, it's always been the other way around. It's like marketing hype, buy the token, raise 4 billion. And we know what projects we're doing, 4 billion, you know, and well, what are you actually doing now? You know, and so that's the philosophy we have. Build it, then kind of market it and talk about it. And it's the same philosophy with the token itself. So it's no point launching a token when you haven't actually tried the DEX itself.
Try before you buy. I absolutely love that. Like I say, I mean, there's so many things to be excited about with this DEX already. It's certainly something, I mean, I'm already providing liquidity to the DEX.
Thank you.
It's something that I'm going to continue to do moving forward. It's absolutely, the pleasure is all mine, actually, at this point. And I'm definitely looking forward to. So how are you guys actually going to, we've spoken about try before you buy for the token, look to release the token? Are you going to do a sale, a public sale, a sort of whitelist sale, a token generating event you mentioned? How's that going to look moving forwards? Because I'm sure after watching this video, people are going to have their eyes on WingRiders and its token and how they could potentially get their hands on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so the token generation event will be a public sale. Okay, the public sale, the format of it as of now is still in, we've been in talks obviously through a pre-DAO voting mechanism we have in our Discord channel to see what the community really wants, what their preference is. And that's kind of now in the final phases of being formulated. I can't actually say what it will be. Okay, just because of the philosophy we have, we don't actually say it until it's finalized, and a lot of things change, you know. So it will be a public sell. It will be open to everyone in the community and the wider community, obviously, so they can participate. But the format of it, we're not announcing at this present moment in time. And it will be announced very, very shortly. Yes, there is a whitelist option. I can tell you that right now on our platform, that you can obviously register, and there's going to be announcements about it and how it works. So please go to our Discord channel, join as members, and you can see exactly how you can get whitelisted for that.
I think that's the best direction to point people into is your Discord, the WingRiders Discord. We'll leave links to absolutely everything in the description, the website, the socials, the Discord. I'm certainly in the Discord. And I know that you guys did a sort of stealth launch, which I like the idea of, and people kind of had a heads up of that on Discord before really anywhere else. So if you guys want to get involved with the WingRiders community, the best way to do so, I would say, is via the Discord, and of course keep an eye on their Twitter and everything else that these guys have got going on. I mean, it's very impressive. Just on what you've mentioned alone, you can see this is really, you guys are separated from the herd, in my opinion. You're a very methodical team. I've absolutely enjoyed talking to you so far. What can people expect moving forward? So we've got the token, you know, we've got the Vasil hard fork. What are you guys looking at moving forwards? Where's your focus at currently?
You know what that answer is going to be, right? We can't say until it's out there. I mean, we've got lots I can tell you like this, okay? In general terms, we've got a lot of things on the burner, okay? A lot of different development ideas, and some are already in further stages of development. Some are kind of being experimented with, and as they become released, and you will see this as we go forwards in time. I mean, the next, I suppose, big event is the TG event. Okay, so the tokens out there, and those other kind of development, kind of, if you like, ideas and functionalities, if you like, they will definitely be released. So just please watch this space. Go to our announcements channels on Twitter and Telegram. Just join there. You'll get pinged, and we have, like, you know, different things happening all the time. But I love to say it, but I think that would kind of break the ethos of what we're trying to do as well.
Yeah, that makes me want to know even more. So if you're not already in the Discord, get in there. You know, Discord's a totally free app to use, and it's where if I'm interested in a project, it's often where you'll get the news first, because it's where the community is. And also go and have your say. If you like the look of WingRiders, go and put what your thoughts are to WingRiders in their Discord. You can also do it on their socials, because it's also a very community-driven product. Which I love, and
that's interesting. Sorry to interrupt you. No, that's interesting. I missed out saying that. We think of ourselves as a community DEX. Okay, what does that actually mean? We are owned, if you like, not owned as in, like, you know, kind of someone's got shares or anything, but we feel as that we are kind of indebted and owned, if you like, by the people who obviously provide us liquidity, by the agents that batch, you know, and the swappers that are there using the DEX day in, day out, you know. So, and this whole philosophy of being a community DEX leads to the kind of whole DAO philosophy of, as you rightly said, we are all about the community, you know. The DEX will be run by the WRT token holders, which will be probably mostly from our community. And you know, it goes back to this kind of philosophical thing of what we're doing in crypto. It's all about decentralization, peer-to-peer, trustless, permissionless, you know, that's another word we use a lot. What else? You know, all of these things. And by the way, a lot of people say it's a peer-to-peer kind of a relationship you have on a DEX. It's not actually. It's peer-to-pool. So you're interacting as a peer with multiple peers in a pool who provided liquidity, etc. So, you know, it's a great thing. I mean, we spoke at the beginning, you know, about kind of where I'm from and stuff like that, and, you know, my journey. But this is one part I did miss out, and I like to just kind of say is that, yeah, I was smitten with the price movements, and I got into kind of, you know, this whole trading thing, and it's great. I still do it, and it's fantastic. But I started to understand that every one of these coins I'm buying and selling is actually a full-on project, you know, and when you dig deeper, obviously I was reading white papers at the time, but never getting too deep about it. And then once that kind of realization comes that this is actually the whole movement despite all the things that are happening currently in the environment, and we're probably all aware of it, that obviously fluctuates this price. But these projects are all, going to change the way the world is one day. And this is the reality of it. The face of finance is already changing. And I remember I won't mention the names, but, large companies in the past, big financial institutions saying, this is absolute poison a few years ago. Now they're like, sorry, they covered themselves with it. So realistically, this is here to stay. There will be obviously fluctuation, and this is not financial advice. This is in no way financial. This is my own. Yeah, absolutely. So this is my own personal experience, and I started understanding that this stuff that is happening in the decentralized world is going to change the world. More people, they reckon, are going to be working in DAOs very soon than they're actually going to be working in an office block somewhere.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it, and I'm totally on board with that thesis. There's something far, far bigger. The price, yeah, it's great, and it attracts people, and then often you'll kind of grow. You'll lose some people when the price comes down, but over the long term, and this is why I was so eager to get you guys on. If you choose a project that's actually got real people behind it, real goals, dreams, and ambitions, like I believe WingRiders has, you'll be just fine in the long run. And this technology is really changing the world, and it's amazing that you see that. I know a lot of people, and I speak to a lot of projects, and I won't mention any names here, but it's all market driven. It's all market, it's all about marketing and selling your token and this and that and the others. You guys are almost the adversary of that. You're doing things, and then you're saying, okay, well, if you guys want to take part, you're more than welcome to. No pressure. We're going to show you what we've got and move accordingly. And it's fantastic. And I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed having you on.
Thank you very much. I really love your passion about the whole industry, and we've had chats, informal chats off camera. But I really admire your passion about this, and I'm in sync with it. So thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having us at WingRiders.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully I can have you back on at some point. I know you guys are going to be moving forwards.
It'd be a pleasure.
In stealth, somewhat for now, but get in the Discord, guys, and I'm sure we're going to chat again, Karen. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.